Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here with the System Simplified podcast, where we interview top entrepreneurs, founders, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group. At Business Success Consulting Group, we create custom processes and tailor-made business systems so businesses can thrive and grow. And I am so pleased to introduce today's guest, Tania Sterl. Hi, Tania.
Hello, Adi. Happy to be here.
So happy to have you. Tania, your business, you're an entrepreneur. I'm so excited to interview you, and I'll explain why. You are an entrepreneur. Your business, you're founded Sterl on Style. You were a fashion designer for 20 years. You are responsible for addressing celebrities that we know, news anchors, etc. And then you decided to open your own business, and your story is amazing. Your story, how you got started all the way up to here, is unbelievable. And I am so happy that you're going to be able to share that with our listeners. So to inspire people to be entrepreneurs, this is what this is all about. It's like inspiration to be successful, to live your dream. And also, we're going to talk about systems, because this is all about systems, and it's a System Simplified podcast. And you're going to simplify for us the system on how to actually create your own brand and how to simplify dressing for success, to impress, to make sure your communication comes across with your own style, and how to shop with intention. So we're going to cover a lot of topics where our listeners can take it and they can actually implement a system of personal branding and a system for dressing in a way that you have a saying, it's not a dress for success, because that's a nonprofit we talked about, but it's the dress to impress. Dress to
express and dress to impress.
That's right. That's exactly right. Absolutely. But, before we get started, I want to tell our listeners the story of how I actually, how we connected, because I think this is so powerful, right?
Yes.
So I watched a video on LinkedIn that you were wearing this amazing jacket. You're wearing an amazing jacket today too, but you were telling the story about that jacket and how it actually expresses, it's dress to express, dress to impress. That's exactly what you did in that video, because it totally expressed creativity. And I looked at it and I go, wow, I love interviewing creative people that are also very system oriented, because you dispel the idea that creative do not need systems, right? And I was able to see in that video, because you were wearing that jacket and it pulled my attention. I watched that video and I reached out to you. We just got that instant connection. So that is the power of having the right jacket to actually express who you are and attract connections, right?
Yeah, and I think that rolls into the dressing with intention. Our image, our style, how we show up online, on LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, Instagram. Our style is a language. Our style is communication. And how interesting that just by me showing up in this fun jacket, there was something about me that made you curious about me, that made you interested in me. There was just something that sparked there. So for those of you who are listening, think about ways you can use your style and your image to communicate who you are, to get people interested in you, to get people want to connect with you. It is that first impression, but beyond that first impression, how are you being left to be remembered in people's minds? And it doesn't mean your style has to be bold. My personal style happens to be very bold and creative because I'm a fashion stylist. But it could be as simple as, do you have gorgeous, gray hair, or do you have no hair, or do you have fun curly hair, right? Like, do you want to wear fun glasses, or is it a signature color that you wear? So really what it boils down to is your image is a key marketing tool. Make your mark. What makes you different is going to make you memorable. So use your image, show up in a way that's going to attract people to want to get curious about you and engage in what you have to offer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to start with your story because the story is so inspiring. But even before we go there, I'd like to give a big shout out to Ruth Domber, she's the owner of 1010 Optics, and she is the one who's responsible for those gorgeous glasses that you're wearing right now.
Yes. So shout out because I'm in New York City. Adi's in Oregon, and Ruth Domber at 1010 Optics. She has this amazing eyewear store. She's been in the business for at least 30 years, I believe. And her approach to matching eyewear to an individual is the same approach I have of discovering a person's style. She takes in consideration personality, your face shape, color, and she's one of the few people I trust to pick out something for me. So she helped pick these out for me, and they're amazing. And that's how you and I connected. We had all these connections on LinkedIn. We had Ruth Domber in common. So
and
that's
Mimi
how these
Banks,
connections happen.
yeah, we saw that we know Mimi Banks. You know, she was also a guest on my podcast, and she's a mutual connection. And then we've realized that we are both part of NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, and so it goes on and on. That's the power of social media, but it's the power of also getting noticed on social media by your personal image and your personal brand.
And it's true. And to your point, it's about showing up, right? A lot of people are nervous or scared. Oh, I can't do a video or I can't do a post. But the more you're visible online, the more opportunities, the more connections. For example, how we met.
Absolutely. So let's start with your story. Tell us your story, how you got started as a fashion designer.
Yes. So before I launched my personal styling business, it'll be 9 years this year, I was a fashion designer for 18 years. So I like to say then I designed collections for successful women in business on TV, real estate agents, women who worked in corporate. So I designed collections, and now I like to say that I curate a woman's individual collection, right? So that her style can feel like it represents who she is today. So why, right? Like, why fashion, Tania? So growing up, I actually came from really humble beginnings. I grew up in the Midwest, in a small suburb outside Chicago, and literally I would walk through a cornfield to get to school, right? So I was very much this tomboy. I loved to climb trees and ride my bike. Yes, yet I also like to design clothes for my Barbie dolls. So I was kind of this mixture of this like tomboy, but I loved fashion. I used to make 2 Halloween costumes just so I could go out trick-or-treating twice. But I like to play with clothes and experiment with clothes. I'd wear my brother's hand-me-downs. I'd wear my babysitter's hand-me-downs. And I always would mix and match it in a way that was just different. And, you know, going to school, like 5th grade, 8th grade, I kind of got bullied because I looked different. I dyed my own hair. I would make my own clothes. I remember I made this like it was the 80s, right? So I made this like splatter print top, and I was like, where'd you get that? You know, like, that's weird. Like, but I never let the bullying get me down, because I was like, why would you want to follow everyone else? Why would you want to look like everyone else? So I didn't know what it meant to be a leader or an individual and not a follower, but I just never let it get me down. I never caved into like, oh, well, let me just give up and look like everyone else. And then in high school, I like to say that Linda Evangelista saved my life. She's my favorite supermodel from the 90s, because I would get lost in the pages of Vogue magazine. And I thank my high school teacher, my high school literature teacher. We had to write about a hero or someone we admired. So I wrote about Linda Evangelista because she had a long, prominent nose like I do. She had short hair that went from blonde to red to black, every color. And I said, I get it now. I can be my kind of beautiful. I can be different, and that's okay, right? I don't need the long, flowy blonde hair and big boobs that like all the cheerleaders had in high school, right? All the popular girls. So I finally, I think it was a little bit like the bullying, but it was also me accepting who and I was inside. So I left the Midwest. I knew if I had to pursue fashion, I had to end up in New York City. So I went to the UW-Madison, transferred to FIT, came to New York City to pursue my career in fashion design, and just never really compromised who and how I was along the way. So that's what I love to do now. I love giving other people permission and showing them what's possible. It's possible to dress to express who you are inside and out. Whether you're more subtle and subdued, whether you're more bold, whether you're more elegant, right? We all have a different area of expertise. And what better way to showcase that than through your style?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a great story. So let's start with, creating your own brand. What system do you use, or what method do you use in order to actually help business women, and also men? We don't just talk about women, it's women and men, because we all need to express ourselves, right? It's not you happen to work with women, but you have a business partner or you have a colleague that works with that the same thing with men. So what is the system that we can use in order to create our own brand?
Yes. So yeah, and to your point, because I was a women's wear fashion designer for 18 years, I focus mostly on women's and female identified people and individuals. And I do have a business partner. Shout out to Tavia Sharp of Styled Sharp. For those of you gentlemen who are listening in and want some more style advice for the gentlemen, look up Styled Sharp. So it's interesting, Adi. I love that you asked that question, because oftentimes I feel like people don't really know or understand what a personal stylist does. People think, oh, it's about clothing and I go shopping, or, oh, you look at my closet and tell me what to wear. So really, like, anyone could walk into a store and talk to a salesperson and be like, I need clothes, help me shop. But the differentiator is, as a personal stylist, I want to get to know you. What's your current role? What is that future goal? Who are you today? What are those defining words that make you different? It really is about personal branding. Just like when you go to design your website, when you go to design your logo, when you work with a marketing person to figure out like what your tagline is, like, hello, I'm Tania Sterl, personal stylist, and I show people how to fully express themselves through their personal style so they can be dressed and seen as the leaders and experts they truly are, right? That's how I branded myself, as Sterl on Style. So for those of you listening, it's really, before you look at your closet, before you can go shopping, it's really asking yourself, what do you want to be known for? What are those defining words? For me, it's like bold, creative, curious, a good listener, I care. For some of you, it might be you want to be known as, confident, professional, a problem solver, a good listener. Like, everyone has a different branding words, right? Curious, joyful, somber, serious, like humorous. So for those of you listening, ask yourself, what are your defining words? What do you want to be known for? What makes you different? And then it's style after all, so it's visual. I love using Pinterest. So for those of you listening, if you're on Pinterest, you can follow me, Sterl on Style, on Pinterest. I use that as a tool to create a style vision board for my clients. So it's a great place to start. I advise, carve out an hour. I call it your fashion fantasy hour or your style blueprint. I know Tavia Sharp likes calling it the style blueprint for her gentlemen. And just go on Pinterest. Is there a style icon whose style you admire? Like when I first worked with a client, oh, I love Amal Clooney's style, or Jennifer Aniston, or maybe there's a character on TV. You can search on Pinterest for other women's styles that you like. Get cues from that. Think about what colors you love to wear. Think about your defining details. Is it your glasses? Is it your jewelry? So this way, this is where I start with my clients. We come up with a style statement. Are you the, eclectic woman of the world, right? Has a different style statement than, are you the sporty, active type that never takes no for an answer, what have you? We come up with the style statement. We come up with the fashion formulas. We use Pinterest. We come up with your power colors, your jewelry. So we're painting a picture for how to define your style. It's only after we have a clear definition, then we know how to look at that closet. Then we know what to shop for.
That's great. It's really creating the foundation, and it's true for any marketing. It's kind of like you're not going to create your website. You're not going to create your marketing collateral without really understanding your brand. So this is your personal brand. So you create a brand, then you follow it. Now, we all need systems. You're working with really busy professionals, right? So we don't really have time to go shopping. We don't have time to prepare. That's what we need, somebody like you as a professional coming and helping, but creating that system. So let's get here some tips and tricks about creating the systems that you need as an entrepreneur to look good, to express your style, but be always ready for meetings, for work, for traveling. And when you go shopping, you shop with intention. So let's break it down. So let's start with preparing for the week. What are some systems that you have to help us prepare for the week correctly?
Yeah. So again, that phrase, dressing with intention. Really, again, before you open those closet doors, before you think about what to wear, and actually it starts with number one, carve out a little time to think about what you're going to wear that day. So ask yourself, who am I meeting? Whom do I need to impress? Whom do I need to inspire? And really break it down. What I like to advise is on a Sunday, look at your work week, Monday through Friday. Do you have a networking event? Do you have a gala to attend? Do you have a consultation call with a potential new client? Once you can break down what I call your events, right? Your activities and events, then you can dress with intention and show up in a way that shows that you care, shows that you're professional and confident, and shows that you care about that other person, right? Whether it's across the Zoom room or across the real room, we're getting back to live events. So it's really about carving out that time. And here's what I do for my clients. I mean, Adi, I have a whole system. I have like a digital lookbook that I create for my clients. I basically have their calendar on my calendar. So I know all their conferences, all their speaking engagements. I have their calendar for the quarter. And this way I can plan their digital lookbook out so they don't even have to think about what to wear. But for those of you listening, a great place to start is, again, think about what that work week is, what activities you have, and plan ahead. A great tip I suggest is start to build it into your morning routine. Whether you get up, shower, wash your face, make your coffee, whatever that morning routine is, also think about your day. What is my day like? Networking, consult call, then pick out your outfit while you're thinking about it. Do I need the, red tie today because I need a little more action and energy? Or do I need to wear a soft, soothing color because I'm on a consultation call? Then pull the outfit out of the closet, lay it on your bed. The top, the shirt, the dress, the shoe, the jewelry, lay it on your bed and have it ready. Then finish your hair, makeup, coffee, breakfast, whatever. And then it's kind of nice. You go back and you're like, oh, who laid out this outfit for me? But it takes 5 minutes. It doesn't take a half an hour. It takes 5 minutes to say, what is that outfit I need to pull together so that I can show up for my day, confident, professional, be seen the way I want to be seen, and so that my day goes so much better.
So good. Such great advice. Absolutely. Now, let's talk about speaking engagements. When you're actually standing in front of the crowd, what are some of the important things to look for or to take into account when you're choosing the outfit for that?
Yeah. So let's kind of recap and break down what I call events, because really what I'm styling my clients for are all of their events. So I like to break it down to showtime, downtime, or behind the scenes, right? So speaking engagement, showtime. Now it's showtime. Each and every one of you listening on this call, you are absolutely an expert in what you do. You are your expert in your area of professionalism, whether you're in finance, law, marketing, fitness, whatever it is, you're that expert. So when you're speaking, that's showtime. We are operating on the stage of business at all times. Just like you go to watch a theater, you go to watch a movie, that main character is dressed for their part. So as a speaker, you want to be just a hint elevated than the attendees and everyone in the audience. You want something that's just a little extra, a little hint extra and a differentiator. I'll share a story. One of my clients came to me to style her for her photo shoot. So again, I asked her, what's her current role? She's a marketing expert. What does she want to be known for? She wants to be known as, like this amazing marketing expert that does branding and websites and colors. And she named 2 industry experts that she was going to be attending their conference. And her goal is to speak at one of these conferences. So why would she show up at the conference, like just in a jean jacket, blending into the audience? I'm like, wear something as if you're the speaker. And I'm telling you, Adi, I picked out a jacket for her. She was like, "Ooh, that is some jacket." It was black. It had these hearts on it, these little like embroidered hearts. She was like, "I don't know. Can I do that?" And I was like, "Honey, based on what you're telling me, you want to be seen as the speaker. You want to be seen as the expert. You're going to be speaking on stage next to these experts that you admire. And you're afraid to wear a black jacket with sparkly hearts on it because you feel like it's too much." So she got it. She understood the connection. She's like, right, why am I just going to show up in the jean jacket I wear every day at home or to the grocery store? So that's what I want your listeners to walk away with is it's what I do is more powerful than the clothing. It's setting that intention and matching it to how you're going to dress and show up. I actually have to follow up with her because she went to the conference last week and she was going to wear her jean jacket. And I was like, honey, you got to wear that blazer that the other people are going to be jealous of. So when you're the speaker, it's showtime. That is your stage of business. You got to get up, dress up, show up, and think about something that's going to be a little extra. Also, Adi, you got one shot to get it right. That speaking engagement, you're going to be photographed. You're going to be videotaped. That's going to live on. I'll share briefly. There was a woman I met after she delivered her TEDx talk. She did not work with a stylist. And she didn't realize that the pants she wore didn't fit her well, wrinkled while she sat in the waiting room. So when she got on stage to deliver her TEDx talk and the whole thing was recorded, her pants were so ill-fitting and wrinkled, you couldn't help but like go, oh, the pants, right? It takes the focus off the message you're delivering. So remember, you've got one shot to get it right, head to toe, make sure your clothing creates comfort, confidence, a color that brings a little energy, something a little extra. Don't go in it wearing a skin tight dress and high heels if your brain's going to go numb and you can't remember what you're going to say, right? I did style a client for her TEDx talk and she said, Tania, I went into it. I didn't even think about what I was wearing because I was so confident in my blue dress and my heels. She could just focus. So for you speakers out there, you've got one shot to get it right. Think about your outfit from head to toe. Think about the background color. Wear something that's going to make you feel comfortable and confident. But I dare you to wear just a little something extra to just elevate you from the audience.
Absolutely. I love that advice. It's really interesting because the common thread is the preparation, right? It's the system. It's the not just going and just winging it, right? It's just like really having a plan and everything aligns with that intention. And then you put the pieces together and you execute it. So it's like anything else, the dressing and putting and the way we look really aligns with also how it shows how prepared you are, how much thought you put into it ahead of time, how much do you care? And that is the image that you basically give to others as well. And it makes them feel important because it's important for you enough to have that image. So when they look at you, they can look at something that is aesthetic, that is nice, that shows that preparation. So I think it's great advice. Now let's talk about travel. So travel, how do we prepare for travel? What's the system for travel?
Yeah, definitely. So for those of you traveling to conferences, traveling on business, This is the way I approach it for my clients. Again, like I mentioned before, I have some clients who I just have all their calendar dates ahead of time. This way, I'm getting them dressed and ready well before they're traveling. So at least, I do this a month before, but at least 2 weeks to 4 weeks before you travel. At least I'll say at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks before you travel, number one, check the weather. What's the weather going to be like in that city that you're visiting? Is it going to be hot and humid? Is it going to be freezing cold in the morning and then be warm in the afternoon? And check in with yourself. What's your own temperature, right? Are you someone that tends to get too hot or too cool? This way you can dress appropriately for the climate. Number two, what are the activities each day? Like if it's a conference, are you attending and listening? Is there a cocktail hour? Do you have a sponsorship table? Are you going to be speaking? Is there an opportunity to network? So each day outline the activity. I actually, I styled a client recently. She just published her first book and she was going to her first live conference since, the pandemic and lockdown. And she had her sponsorship table and she was so nervous. So not only did we do one outfit per day, we did 2 outfits per day. She had her business casual look for day. She had her pretty dress for cocktail hour in the evening. And then she had her power colors purple. And that's also her branding color. So we had her beautiful purple dress picked out for her sponsorship table. And she said she was so relieved. We did this, I actually shopped for her as well. So we worked a month ahead. But she was so relieved. She had her 5 outfits for all 3 days of the conference, day and night, travel the airplane. She said not only were people coming up to her sponsorship table, "Oh, I love your dress. It's so pretty. Look at you in purple." They kept asking her, "When are you speaking? Oh, are you speaking on the panel tonight? When you're speaking?" She's like, "I'm not one of the speakers, but let me tell you about my book." So there's the power of dressing with intention. She looked like she was one of the speakers. She looked so elevated and ready and dressed, and she felt so embodied and confident, and she felt like that author. She felt like that expert. So check the climate, see what your activities are, and really what I suggest is lay the outfits out on the bed. And lay them out and go day 1, day 2, day 3, lay out the outfits, edit back because people overpack, you don't want to overpack. And also a tip, do not pack too many shoes. Shoes take up way too much room and way too much bulk. You only need 2 to 3 pairs of shoes maximum, and you want to choose one color story. If all your bright colors are going back to black, wear the black shoe. If everything you're wearing is going back to navy, wear the brown or the tan shoe. You don't want to bring a lot of shoes. They take up too much space. But look at the temperature, think about what those activities are, and then, plan those outfits and literally lay them out on the bed so you can see them head to toe. Jewelry, shoes, underneath, what you're packing for the plane. This way you can have a checklist and a system before you pack and travel, and do it at least a week or 2 before. If something's missing, you got time to go, run to the store and get that great fitting pair of black jeans that's going to get you through.
Exactly. Great advice. So Tania, if our listeners would like to contact you, what's the best way to contact you?
Yes. So for those of you listening, if you feel like when you open those closet doors or when you get dressed for that event, if you just feel like your clothes and your style isn't really representing who you are today, I would love to connect over a discovery call. You can go to my website, sterlonstyle.com. You can see examples of clients that I've styled before. You can click on the link. All it does is it starts with a 30-minute free discovery call. And also, if you want style inspiration, if you want my tips on style, you can follow me on Instagram, Sterl on Style. And also I have a newsletter that you can sign up through the website. So it's all at Sterl on Style.
Sterl on Style. Great. And in closing, I'd like your perspective on being a creative, but still using systems. And why is it important to use systems, processes? Why do you still have to have a method of doing something, but still, how does it affect your creativity, and does it affect your creativity?
Yeah, and I love this, Adi, because you and I connected over this on our first, call together, our first virtual one-on-one. And as a creative person, I'm definitely creative first. Like, give me, paint, give me paintbrushes and a canvas, give me fabric. I could just paint and create all day. But a valuable lesson I learned working in the fashion industry for 18 years and needing to design, create, deliver, present fashion collections 4 times a year. If we didn't have a system to organize myself, these collections would never get out to the stores, the showrooms, the buyers, the runway. So you and I really connected on that. And I learned 18 years in the fashion industry, if I didn't function with systems, creativity can just spill all over the place. So for those of you listening, if you are a creative like me, know that the creativity also needs containers. So time blocking is a great tool. Like when I do my vision boards on Pinterest for my clients, I time myself. I give myself an hour. I'm like, this is my 1 hour. I'm focused on this creative process. If I'm writing a newsletter or a blog post, I block out time in the calendar for creative time. But then I also understand I need systems in place, time blocking so I can get those discovery calls in, digital lookbook tools so that my clients feel, a tool to organize all the outfits and keep them in one place. I have a new client that's actually asked me for a checklist before she packs and before she gets dressed. So it's not about cramping your creativity. It's allowing for those systems. So there's a beginning, an end, a beginning and a completion, but also containers. So the creativity has a time and place, but there needs to be a definitive beginning, middle, and end to a project. And let me tell you, Adi, a closet, a wardrobe is endless. I love when my clients are like, oh, and let me show you this scarf. And of course, there's 10 different ways to wear that jacket. But at a certain point, we have to go, good enough. You've got your 20 outfits for the season. Now go wear them before we come back next season and create 20 more. So that's why I so admire what you do, Adi. And I so admire what you do in relation to, people in corporate who are, very type A and very organized. They think in terms of systems. So I love that you offer, getting creatives to understand that they can be even more creative when those systems and processes are in place.
Absolutely. And it reminds me of, I did a great interview an interview on my podcast with Michelle Williams, and she turned me into the home edit, right? The show. So when you said containers, they go like, yeah, for sure. You have to have the containers. They can still be creative containers in all the colors of the rainbow, but you still have containers with labels. And then you can still have your creativity, but you have those boundaries so you can actually get the final result. So I think I loved how you explained it and how it aligns to the creativity, the fashion industry, whatever industry you're in, you still have to have those, the system in place so you can actually create even more. So that was totally beautifully said, Tania.
Right, Adi? And who knew that style could also have a system?
That's right. So style and system, absolutely. So the system of style, but you outlined it so well today. And definitely a lot of doable action items to take in order to make your life easier. And you can also, people can present themselves the way that they want to present themselves.
Yeah. And the beauty of the systems and outsourcing and delegating, like someone like you, is if you're at a point in your life where you can't make sense with your wardrobe or clothing because you're the expert in what you do, there's no shame in not knowing what to wear. There's no shame in hating shopping. So knowing that this is, key to your business, because an investment in your image is ultimately an investment in your business. An investment in your image is an investment to your success. Look at you and I. You saw me on LinkedIn and was like, we have to connect. So know that it's okay to have a system to your style, a system to your shopping, a system to your closet, a system to, styling and packing. And if you get to that point where you can't figure out yourself, it's just like when you get a toothache, you go to the dentist. If you have a pain in your wardrobe, you go to a personal stylist.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree. Well, Tania, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. I really appreciate it.
This was so much fun, Adi. The West Coast and the East Coast. This was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.